Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Mandrill, the best way to send transactional email from the people who make Mailchimp. Sign up today at mandrill.com. And by Walker Corporate Law, a boutique law firm specializing in the representation of entrepreneurs. Visit them at walkercorporatelaw.com. And by Amazon Web Services. Get the resources you need to easily get started with AWS Activate, a new global program for startups, including AWS credits, training, developer support, a startup community forum, and special offers from third parties. Learn more and sign up at aws.amazon.com/activate.
Hey everybody, it's Jason Calacanis. Today on the program, the CEO and founder of Postmates. The Kozmo 2.0, it's taking over in a number of cities. You've probably got friends using it here in San Francisco or New York or Brooklyn, and we're going to hear about the last mile of delivery today on This Week in Startups. Stick with us.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, it's your friend Jason Calacanis, and I am nursing a little bit of a sore throat, so bear with me. This is my Kathleen Turner sexy voice, yes. But we're going to have a great episode today. With me on the program is Bastian Lehmann. Bastian.
Yeah.
I got it right, Bastian Lehmann.
You got it.
Who is an entrepreneur out of Munich, who is the CEO of Postmates, which does delivery in under an hour. From a number of businesses throughout your city. That's, I think, New York and San Francisco and Seattle.
That's right.
Yeah, a number of cities. And we're here at WeWork, just to give them a little plug. WeWork Golden Gate built me a nice studio. And boy, am I appreciative of that, because I've been coming up more and more often. And I do it when I see a great producer, Gina, is doing a great job of getting great guests on the program as breaking news happens. And Postmates has had a lot of great news of late. You may have heard that David Sachs, Dave Morin, and my pal Bill Lee, all three of them my pals, who've all been on the program, they all angel invested in the startup. So they got a lot going on. Thanks to our friends at WeWork. Go check them out at WeWork.com. I have offices at WeWork. Great place. And the Launch Festival, by the way, is coming February 24th, 25th, and 26th here in San Francisco. If you want to launch your company on stage or you want to buy a ticket, go ahead and go to festival.launch.co. Festival.launch.co. Bastian, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Jason, and thank you, WeWork, for the great coffee.
Yeah, WeWork has good coffee. That's like the best plug you could give to a co-working space.
It is very good.
Is being like, hey, your coffee's tight. So Postmates, when did you start it, and what was the inspiration?
So we started, it's almost 2 years ago that we started. Different product focus at that time. The original idea of Postmates was more to connect or to let you ship an item that you already own inside your city. So you forgot your keys somewhere and you wanted to get the keys back, get a laptop from an office to your home. That was the original idea behind Postmates. And the idea was born from myself moving from Munich to London. I had the equivalent of a moving van coming in Germany. They took all the stuff away. They forgot to take my snowboard. And I tried to ship it by FedEx and UPS to my parents. Turns out that's a huge pain and a huge hassle. So if you look at the original idea that I had 2006, it was, why can't we match a person that travels somewhere with an item that needs to be shipped somewhere? So almost like ride sharing for stuff. That's the original idea of Postmates. Once in San Francisco, we tried to implement that in a city because we figured out that, the real problem, while I can easily ship an envelope from here to New York and it's there in 24 hours, it's almost impossible to do that in a city without digging through a number of Yelp reviews, bike messengers, that whole thing.
Right. And is that start of the problem, did you actually try to implement that? And then how badly did you fail?
Yeah, we tried to implement that, and what happened is that we implemented in a way that we said, look, why don't we get all these merchants that are in a city to use Postmates to ship the stuff that they sell to their customers? Because the thesis is, if you're a furniture store, you don't want to have your own delivery van, so you put it on the customer to get the chairs at home. You could use Postmates for that. So we signed up 20, 30 merchants in San Francisco, and they were like, yeah. And then they didn't really do anything with the app. But what happened is that we had users, customers downloading the app, and they tried to use the app in a way that it wasn't designed to be. They started putting in the pickup place a store, and they wanted us to purchase an item. And you know, me being German, I said, nein, that is not allowed.
Yeah, this is against the rules.
This is against the rule.
Not the function of the app.
Exactly. But after a while, you can't ignore it anymore.
Right. So they were just telling you, like, listen, go to Starbucks and get me a mocha.
Yes.
I will pay you $5 on top of $5.
Absolutely. That's how it started. And so we decided to do a test, as you do as a good founder. You know, after ignoring this for a long time, you're like, okay, let's just test it. So we sent out a newsletter. And that newsletter said, this weekend, if you include the hashtag Get It Now in the description, then we will go out and purchase these items for you. And I think the first weekend we sold products worth $10,000. People ate it up that first weekend. So then you kind of know you're onto something. And we had to release this app that we really never wanted to build, which then obviously today is Postmates, that beautiful portal that allows you to purchase anything from any store in San Francisco or Seattle.
So walk us through the app here. So if a merchant is not online, how do you navigate that?
Yeah. So there's two scenarios in the Postmates world.
Right.
The first one is that you select a merchant that we have the inventory for. So let's just go here on Show Dogs. You know, it loads you a beautiful page.
It looks like a Twitter page.
It looks
but
a bit
it's
like
got
a
the
Twitter
menu.
page. It got the menu. It has something else neat here. It shows you a little bit of a street view of that place. It's a sweet integration. It shows you the menu, so you can select your hot dogs here, and you can put them in your basket and purchase them.
Right.
If you were to look for a place, let's say Macy's, and we don't have the inventory of that place, you always have a custom order field. So here people can write and tell us about the things that they would like to have purchased.
Got it.
And the great thing is we obviously track that, and whenever we find a place where we don't have any inventory, we then go in and add inventory as best as we can. We have a data entry team that does that.
So if I was like here in San Francisco and I spill a cup of coffee on myself and I need a white shirt and I know what shirt it is at Brooks Brothers and I'm a 32 and 16 and a half white shirt, I can just put my measurement in and say, pick me up this white shirt at Brooks Brothers.
Yeah, happens all the time. And I give you a great...
How do you handle the billing then?
Yeah.
And what if they don't have it in stock? What happens if you send somebody there and then they don't have it?
Yeah. So two great questions because they can happen.
Yep.
So the billing still happens the same way. We will charge you up on delivery, and what we do is our Postmates will go into the store, purchase the item. We have a beautiful automated debit card system that we distribute to these guys. So they purchase the item, they deliver it to you, and you will be charged up on arrival.
Now, do you get charged on a credit card on arrival, or do you have my credit card on file?
We have the credit card on file.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what if you buy the wrong thing or it's not in stock? Like, there's all these edge cases that would keep an entrepreneur from pursuing this, but you pursued it anyway.
Yeah.
So things must have happened, and how do you reconcile that? Now, because I'm supposed to you're charging $10 for somebody to go pick up that shirt and bring it to me, maybe? $5 each leg? Yeah. Is that how it works?
Yes. That's roughly how it works. There is a delivery fee. It starts at $5, goes all the way to $14. So let's talk about that problem. A Postmate walks in the store, purchased the wrong item, or let's say the item is not available.
Right.
In that case, the Postmate would reach out to you, would communicate with you either directly
through the app,
or our customer service team would do it.
Yeah.
And when I say customer service team, in the first year of operation, that was me and my co-founder Sean making these calls, because the pure fact that Postmate exists, it exists because of willpower. There are so many moving parts in this business that can go wrong that I believe a lot of normal people would not touch this idea because it is so complex.
And you did go after it because it's so complex. And what do you think allowed you the freedom to say, fuck it, I shouldn't curse on my own show. God, that's like right for the swear jar. This 8 minutes in, I use the F word. Sorry about that. But you did say fuck it.
Yeah.
And we're going to just try anyway.
Yeah.
Did you get a lot of resistance from your team, like, this is impossible, like, internally, or your investors, like, this is not advisable, it's just too dangerous and crazy to just let people buy anything?
Yeah. So I think we said fuck it almost a year before that when we started Postmates. And it's actually a great story. Me and my co-founder Sean, we've both been working on different ideas, and we couldn't get funding for either of them. And I came over to the USA for that idea. I wanted to be in San Francisco all my life. So here I am. We won't get any funding for the idea that I'm working on. And you know, that puts you in a bad spot. But sometimes when you're with your back against the wall, you are removed from any precautions that may occur out of the actions that you take. And you're like,
So you were kind of desperate. You think your company was going to fail?
we knew that the company curated by that we were working on, that is
Yeah.
not going to go anywhere.
Right.
And I decided, what are you going to do with your life next?
Right.
You're just going to run around here and build a product that two people are using?
Right.
Or isn't the bolder move to go back to this Postmates idea that I had in the year 2006 the right thing when there's anyway nothing to lose? So if
Right.
everything is on the line already, you might as well try this.
Right.
And I think that's why we did it.
What were the signs that it wasn't going to work, that you had to fight through?
Yeah. So I mean, when nobody wanted to use it for the use cases we designed it, that obviously isn't a beautiful feeling.
The 30 merchants that you...
The 30 merchants, you have, because obviously you talk to them, and, oh, I use this every day. I'm going to use this 10 times a week. And then
Yeah.
it's live, and there's one order.
Right.
And you're like, oh, this is actually not so good. So
Right.
having the ability to question your own assumptions, I think, is extremely important. Not falling into any dogma there and being too convinced of oneself's original idea. So that was the first challenge. The second challenge is a lot of people didn't agree with the economics. And we at the beginning started to work with traditional messenger companies here in the city, and they said yeah, okay, it's $20, and I'm like, yeah, well, that's not really how it works, right? We got to change a few things here. The reason nobody uses you right now is because it is $20, and because you guys are optimizing for these one-off deliveries. That's why nobody's coming back.
Right. It's too expensive.
It's too expensive. It's not enough service.
So you had to convince bike messengers to do $5 a leg, $10 a leg.
Or courier companies in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you use other courier companies, or you have your own team?
Right now, it's an own fleet, but it's a lot like Uber or Lyft. We basically recruit them. They're independent contractors, but they're individuals.
Right.
We moved away from working with other companies because there is a stubbornness that is very difficult to overcome.
All right. When we get back from the commercial break, I want you to explain to me when you knew this was actually going to work in a major way like it has when we get back from these very important messages.
Yes, Mandrill, transactional email from the folks at Mailchimp. As you guys know, I'm crazy about Mailchimp. I use it for all my newsletters. But also, Mailchimp makes something called Mandrill. Mandrill is transactional email. If you don't know what transactional email, I'll keep it really, really simple for you. That's the email you get from a product or service that says, hey, you reset your password. Hey, you got a friend request. Hey, those kind of like system level messages, they're incredibly important for products today because they create engagement. They re-engage people with your product. It's not enough to make a great product. It's a competitive world. You have to re-engage with the audience, and transactional email is how people do that. Now, trying to set up those services for yourself as a startup is a complete and utter waste of time. You can simply plug into Mandrill's API and very easily send these emails, and you'll get them into people's email box. It's the fastest way to deliver email, and they do great things like real-time analytics, which means they monitor the performance of these emails going in and out, and they have mobile apps for iOS and Android, so you can see the performance and troubleshoot issues from anywhere, like you're out at a bar or you're on vacation, whatever it is. And they're rolling out new features every single week. That's the great thing about Mandrill, and also Mailchimp for that matter. They do great A/B split testing, so you can see which transactional email works better, which has better efficacy in re-engaging your customers, right? These are the buzzwords we talk about in our industry. And it's super easy to get started. We use it here at Launch for everything we do. The pricing is, simply put, incredible. First 12,000 emails a month are always free, and after that you pay on a usage basis. Now, why do they do that? Well, they're kicking ass so royally over at Mandrill and Mailchimp that they will just give away the product to the first half of users, knowing that if they help them grow, they're going to make it back on the other half that are just growing like a weed. And that's what happens with Mandrill. You'll get that re-engagement going, and you'll blow past 12,000 emails a month, a couple of months in, and then you'll pay them a modest fee. There's no feature gating. All the features are available for all users, whether you're paying or not. Sign up at mandrill.com, MANDRILL.com, and thank Mandrill app on Twitter. Great team over there doing a great job, and we appreciate their support.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. And this is This Week in Startups. I'm Jason Calacanis with a sore throat, so apologize for that. My guest today, Bastian Lehmann. Bastian Lehmann. We were talking about all the signs of what wouldn't make Postmates work.
Yep.
But there must have been a couple of moments, or a moment,
Yep.
I hear this from a lot of entrepreneurs, that they just knew that this product or service that they were building was going to work. Did you have one of those moments?
I think there were a few. So the first one I think we just quickly touched is the moment we sent out this newsletter, did the test, and people started buying.
Right.
That
The
was
random, you can go to anywhere.
That's it. And that was the first moment when I thought, hey, this is interesting, right? So for the first time, someone was using the app. And the second one, I believe, is when we had people come back and come back a lot. And we had that very early on. We always had this idea, if you build something that lets you form a habit, then that is very strong. And so people came back more and spent a lot more money on Postmates. And I'm not sure if you can say it works, but that was a great moment to see that people really fall in love with the product.
I knew it was going to work when I saw VC order Starbucks with it.
Nice.
You know, like at a poker game.
Yeah.
Just like, well, yeah, I'll get Starbucks. You want Starbucks? And usually you send, you know, like if you have a person working the poker game, you send them out to get it, but they just did it on their phone. Do you get a lot of people ordering Starbucks? And how do you charge for picking up Starbucks? Because that's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Can't do that with a bike.
Yeah, you can.
You can?
Sorry to disagree with you there.
How do you deliver 4 Starbucks on a bike?
The fleet is pretty good. They have great equipment, a lot of them. What we see is that a lot of our Postmates, they start upgrading their gear. You know, and then by the way, the logo is misleading. Only around 50% of our fleet is on bikes. The rest is in cars. So it's 50-50. But yes, drinks are difficult on bikes. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
But it can be done. They tape them, they put saran wrap around it, and you know what, to be really honest, often we also fail and drink spills. That still happens.
And so what the every system has like whales, you know, like just big users who use it a lot.
Yeah.
What is your like biggest whale in the system, and like not who are they specifically, but what is their profile like? How often do they use it? What do they use it for?
Yeah. So if we look at our users, we have quite a few whales, and if I will to look at a few that comes to mind, I think a pattern is they use the app almost every day for almost anything that you can imagine, predominantly prepared food, so orders from restaurants. It looks to me as if they feed themselves through the app. And it is beautiful to see that.
So literally like 30 orders a month, 40 orders a month.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the order of magnitude.
40 times a month.
Yeah.
$10 each time, $15 each time.
The average order size in total is around $52. If you look at it, that includes the delivery fee and the purchase price. The purchase price, the average is $36.
Now, how do you make money? You get a percentage of the delivery fee, a percentage of the order? How does that work?
We charge a delivery fee, and we share that with the Postmates. The Postmates get 75% from the delivery fee.
Got it.
And then we charge a service fee on the purchased items, and the service fee covers credit card transactions. You have to pay.
Is that
Stripe.
public? What the fee is for the merchants? Is it 5% or something, or just?
Oh no, you pay the fee, so you see it on checkout. The customer pays it.
Got it.
Postmates doesn't require any merchant integration. That is the most beautiful thing we've ever done. That we do not require any merchant to work with us.
So you could just put their information in.
Absolutely.
And then just order it and go. So you don't even need to have, if there's like a hot dog stand like the one we just did, and Show Dogs is like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't have a manager. It's just a little hot dog shop. You could just take the menu, put it in yourself, and let people order.
Absolutely. And let me tell you one thing about this. It will blow your mind. Big hat, fat tail is how we call it. If you look at San Francisco, and if we just talk about the restaurant space, we have around 100 very popular places in San Francisco where people order from that have around 50% contribution to the total volume of the platform.
Wow.
100. So these 100, those are the places you could do partnerships with, right?
Right.
You could have a sales team. If you're so eager to have a sales team and be good at it, you could do that. But then there is a number of restaurants and a number of places in San Francisco that contribute the other 50% of the total delivery volume. Now, you tell me, what do you think, how many places are these?
Wow. So you have 100 that do 50%. The other 100 of food orders, is it 500?
It's 2,800.
2,800?
2,800.
Wow.
You could never touch them with any sales force. And that is I believe, part of the magic of what we're doing, and why we can get to liquidity in new markets so fast is because of the fact that we're not limited to those handful of partners that would want to work with anyone anyway. But we allow you to basically order from any restaurant, any hot dog stand that you just mentioned in the city.
Okay, so this is deja vu all over again, as Yogi Berra would say. We had Kozmo and UrbanFetch in New York. I covered them as a journalist, and they did tremendous volume. They changed the city, largely based on DVD rentals, but also you could get food and snacks and newspapers and milk and bagels and whatever. But it was all from their warehouse. They inventoried stuff. But they went down and they burned and crashed. But they supposedly worked in a couple of cities. They were profitable. How much were you influenced by the Kozmo story? And why do you think that they cratered so brutally?
Yeah. So, I mean, the Kozmo story is it's just this magical experience that people would constantly talk about whenever we brought up Postmates, and obviously, you know, if you're my age, you know, well in the 30s, you remember those days, and you remember how powerful the idea was behind the product, and I believe it still is. Look, we're very lean compared to the money that they raised at Kozmo and the money it took them to even build something. There is a balance sheet that you can find somewhere online, and it's millions of dollars just for technical equipment. And to build Postmates, the initial, it cost us nothing,
right?
Because we didn't have anything. So I think to a certain degree they were ahead of their time by a lot. And they also had, I would say, a very adventurous business model where you go into a city, you pay very, very high rental fees for warehouse space, and you try to then distribute products for free and taking a margin of these products. So we're making money on every delivery. I think that is the biggest differentiator between us and Kozmo. Two cities are profitable, San Francisco and New York. We're very excited about that.
So if they had just charged a delivery fee, you think they would still be here?
If Kozmo would have, if people would have been willing to pay a delivery fee 12 years ago, I believe so. Yeah.
Well, is there some difference between 12 years ago and today with people's ability to pay a delivery fee? I don't think so.
I think it's important to look at the adoption of what people were used to purchase on the net in general. So 12 years ago, I think Amazon predominantly sold books, and people were not used to the idea of having a lot more things access to.
But they did accept it, right? They did love it.
Yeah.
And I knew a lot of people in New York who were like, God, I wish they had just charged a goddamn delivery fee, because I would rather the service existed with a $10 delivery fee or an $8 delivery fee, $7, than go away.
Yeah, I mean, it's unclear to me why. I like making money, so that's why we charge a delivery fee. And I'm also not afraid to put the product to test by having a price tag associated with it. I think a lot of people shy away from that, and let's feed it for free for as long as possible. But maybe it's because I'm German, but to me, something that's for free is often not worth anything.
Right, and you also start training the users, don't you? To expect it to be free, and then they devalue it in a way.
It gets devalued. Something that is free already, it has something that has no value attached to it because it's free. It's very difficult to load that with a value afterwards.
Your drivers, with these delivery fees, they get 75%, seems pretty reasonable. How much can they make an hour? What kind of job does that wind up being, and who are the people doing it?
Yeah. So they make an hour around $25, $35.
Wow.
Yeah.
So they do 3 deliveries an hour or something like that?
That's kind of roughly where they are. We allow them to stack deliveries, and that is a very beautiful thing. It is still a bit lower than the income that you would have with Lyft and Uber, but an important thing, and you ask...
I think the Uber is kind of, and Lyft are in that range, aren't they? $30 an hour?
I think they're $10, $15 higher now.
Oh, really? $40 an hour?
Yeah. But I think...
So an Uber driver can make $400 a day. Wow.
I think that's what they advertise. Yeah.
Up to 400.
Up to 400.
Totally busy, yeah.
But we don't compete for the same class of labor because the capital costs to be a Postmates are way less. You can have a bike, you can have a scooter, you can have a rundown car. You also don't need to have, you don't need to be 18. You can be 18, you don't need to be 21.
Right.
So it is a different class of labor that we're attracting. And we talk about a lot of students. We talk about people that maybe work in related fields. We talk people that maybe work at a supermarket, that work as clerks somewhere, and they do that part of half time.
Oh, I see. So they're sort of on demand. They just say, I'm able to do calls now in the app?
I would say around half of them. And then you have the other half. Those are people that almost take Postmates as their primary job.
And they can make double the I think San Francisco minimum wage is $10 an hour.
Something like 9, something like that.
Yeah. And the national is $7.25. So you're saying triple, if they did just $20 an hour, 2 rides an hour, they would triple the minimum wage.
Yes, but it all depends on if they're available to work when the platform is obviously the busiest, right?
Which is nighttime.
Which is in the evenings or during lunch.
Evening and lunch.
Yeah.
So if they can stay busy. And then the other times, they could be studying and do a job, take a break, study, watch an episode of Law & Order, and then...
Brave New World.
Yeah, it is. But I mean,
is.
Are you having to import... I know like a lot of the driving services are recruiting people from outside of San Francisco, outside of New York, whether it's Lyft or Sidecar or Uber. My understanding is they're having to get drivers from other parts of the country to go to the major cities who are just can't find work in their city. So they come to one of these major metropolitan areas, and all of a sudden they're making $20, $30 an hour when the only job they could get is Walmart for $7 or McDonald's for $7.
Yeah. I think we definitely have part of our fleet is from the East Bay, for example. If you consider that importing.
Not quite. Commuting.
Not quite. It's commuting, right? The city, Oakland, San Francisco are very connected cities.
Yeah.
There's drivers from the peninsula, but not much further out of that. I think, Lyft and Uber, they compete for the same class of labor, so I can see that they have to go further and further.
Yeah. Hey, when we get back from commercial break, I want to talk about Google, Amazon, and a bunch of other people taking interest in the last mile and how you intend on, competing when they come to market when we get back from this very important sponsor message.
Yes, Scott Walker, my good friend Scott Walker of the Walker Corporate Law Group. I forward people to Scott Walker all the time. Why? Because I trust him, because he does a great job, because he's in it for the right reason. He runs a boutique law firm, and they specialize in the representation of entrepreneurs. And what that means is they really think about what entrepreneurs go through. They have empathy, and the empathy basically leads them to believe that flat fees are a great idea, and I happen to agree with it. So you don't have the sticker shock when you get your bill from your attorney every month. Scott Walker, if you're lucky enough to have him as your attorney, will just give you a flat fee, whether you're doing incorporations or licensing or terms of service, privacy policy, mergers and acquisitions, blah, 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 blah. There's a million different things he'll do for you and his team. They all have 10 to 20 years of experience. You're not going to have a junior associate getting on the job training with your startup. Oh, no. You're going to get a really experienced person. And if you want to talk directly to the founder to founder, you can reach Scott Ed Walker at 415-979-9998. 415-979-9998. 979-9998. Or just email Scott at walkercorporatelaw.com. And please visit Walker Corporate Law. Scott's one of my old friends in the industry, and he has been supporting this program, This Week in Startups, since the beginning. One of my longest running partners on the program, and just a real great guy. I forward people to him all the time. Anybody who launches at the festival, etc. When they ask for an attorney, I send him right over, and he really takes care of them, and he'll take care of you. Thank you, at Scott Ed Walker on Twitter. Okay, let's get back to the program.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. Bastian Lehmann is on the program. He is the co-founder and CEO of Postmates. If you don't know Postmates, PostMates.com. Go check it out. It's currently in New York, which is also Manhattan, which is Manhattan and Brooklyn, but not Bronx, Queens, or Staten Island yet.
Not yet. No, Staten Island.
Well, at least you did Brooklyn first.
At least we did Brooklyn first.
Yeah, San Francisco, Seattle.
Yeah, and DC. Soon.
And DC. So by the time this airs, you'll have DC.
Yes.
That puts you in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities or so.
Roughly.
How hard is it to roll out in another city?
New York was difficult.
How so?
It's 5 cities in itself. You just mentioned it, right?
Yep.
Just looking at the boroughs and understanding dynamics. The scale of it. So we have an office in New York. Other cities will be able to launch remotely. DC, we're now at a point that we have a really good playbook. So we learned a lot from the launches in Seattle and from the launches in New York especially.
Yeah.
So you kind of use it and refine your playbook going forward. And I think at this point it's a discipline that we're hopefully well trained in.
Amazon last week on 60 Minutes showed their drone delivery, which was kind of BS, but it is well known that Google is doing a test of last mile delivery. Yep. Is that a direct competitor? Are they just basically doing exactly what you do?
No, it's not. So
explain to the audience what Google is doing on delivery.
Sure. I mean, I think Google can probably explain it better. But if we're just looking at the field, so Google introduces a way to compete with Amazon Fresh, which is a same-day grocery service from Amazon that they offer in Seattle and maybe soon also in San Francisco.
Right.
And Google builds Google Shopping Express to compete with Amazon. So in a certain extent, there is a company that acts out of fear to be rendered useless in a field that they consider being very important. And it is a very traditional e-commerce experience. You put things in your cart, you press a button, you select a time slot, in the evening your groceries arrive. And if you look at the Postmates experience, first of all, 85% of our delivery volume is from restaurants. So
Right.
In a lot of ways, I couldn't care what Amazon or Google are doing in regards to groceries and retail
Right.
stores. But even beyond that, at Postmates, you press a button and something arrives 60 minutes later.
Right.
And if all Postmates is forever is the 7-Eleven or the express lane at a supermarket,
Right.
then that is still a big enough market that is totally fine for us, and that,
Right.
that we're very happy with.
You have no
owning.
interest in inventorying broccoli and eggs.
We did that, but I don't think that we have the same desire to have a deep understanding of the quantities available of these products at this point in time.
Right. And the Yelps of the world, there's been speculation they would get into this. They bought a food delivery service, I think.
This I don't know.
No, not the food. Oh, they bought the.
They have a platform that allows you to order.
They have an ordering platform now.
They have an ordering platform, and we talked to them. They would have loved to have us included in the launch, and you know how it is. When you run a startup, you're very tight on resources,
Yeah.
so you have to say no to a lot of things.
Yeah.
So hopefully at some point.
But there'll be competitors in this space.
There are, yes.
Yeah. So what do you? How do you defend in us when you have a product that's working like you do,
Yeah.
and then everybody starts to realize it's working and they start paying attention? How do you scale up quickly to not lose the opportunity, but not so fast that you lose control and the whole startup comes off the rails?
Yeah. So that is kind of the art that I believe one has to master while running a company. I think very few people know that before that part of the journey starts. There's a lot of people that I talk to about this. Very early on, I had discussions with Brian Chesky from Airbnb, for example.
Yeah.
They were in a similar field, right? They suddenly found themselves having dozens of competitors in every city that they wanted to launch Airbnb in. And I believe that you have to find the moment when your product works, and then you have to fire this engine, and you have to keep going, and at least take it to those strategic points that you want it to be. See, New York for us was very important. That's why we launched there very early. We said we want to be on the East Coast. We want to be the first product that is available there, regardless of the fact that it's maybe the best city to launch. It would have been probably easier to go to LA after we've been to Seattle, but it was of such strategic importance to be in New York for branding reasons, for awareness, for maybe network effects between the tech communities in San Francisco and in New York. So I believe you just have to put these strategic milestones down, and you have to execute against them. And hopefully at that time you already have a team in place that helps you do that.
And that's the moment you're in now.
That's the moment we're in now. So, and then you need more capital. So
Yeah.
then you hopefully look for a partner at a great firm that believes in the vision and really wants to help the team.
Well, and now you have Uber breaking out in a huge way.
Yeah.
That's got to help your story, because I think people look at on-demand as Postmates and Uber.
Yeah, I mean, they do. We share, I believe, 6 investors with Uber. You mentioned David earlier. There's a lot of others. It helps us. It helps us tremendously.
Yeah. And now, do you have a VC firm involved, or is it just a bunch of angels right now?
Founders Fund led our series.
Oh,
A.
really?
Yeah.
So Peter Thiel and the group over there. Well,
Yes.
actually, no, it'd be more like Luke or...
Brian Singerman.
Oh, Brian. Okay, great. And so they did your A round, but you're in this expansion mode. You're profitable in 2 cities.
Yep.
We see Uber raising huge amounts of money. It would seem logical to me that at some point you've got to get another major blue chip VC firm involved with a big check.
Yeah. We're having conversations as we speak. I mean, not in this moment because I'm here with you, but around
Yes,
this time.
right now. He's literally got his BlackBerry below the table, and he's BBMing with somebody about the round.
Because they all still use BlackBerries, yes.
Well, how do you make that decision? Like, we have a lot of entrepreneurs listening to the program, and they aspire to be in the very position you're in, which is on the cusp of great success and having a product that people are passionate and love. How do you pick when you've basically got your choice? I'm assuming you have your choice now. and you've got so many great VC firms out there. How do you pick which one to work with?
Yeah.
What's your process?
So first, I'm not sure if we have the choice. I think one should always take raising money very seriously. And if I look at our Series A, it was incredibly hard. There's probably people watching who all passed on us, and it's to a certain extent, it was a very difficult thing to raise the Series A.
Why did they pass? What was the reason, the most common excuse or reason they gave for passing?
Most people did not believe that there is a market of people willing to pay money to have items delivered. That is the reason that most people passed. That is at least what communicated to us. There may be other reasons beyond that.
That's kind of valid, right?
It's kind of valid.
And you proved it wrong.
It's always difficult to share numbers as a founder.
But you have thousands or tens of thousands of people.
We're 10x where we were when we raised our Series A 12 months ago today.
In terms of people who are willing to pay for it.
In terms of people, in terms of number of deliveries, in terms of revenues.
Would I be correct in saying that this is something that is being used by tens of thousands of people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, when you come back and say, hey, you didn't believe it, and we didn't know either, but we've got tens of thousands of people doing deliveries, and they're paying for it, and we all thought this was a big question mark, but now it's an exclamation point. What did the VCs say? Because you must have done that now, right?
Yeah. We just getting started, but yes, there is. The feedback that we have so far is that people are impressed with the scale that we're operating at. I think that is the feedback that we got, and I think that is probably great validation.
Hundreds of thousands of Postmates. How many people are delivering?
I would put it in the thousands category, but not hundreds of thousands. No,
not hundreds,
but we're getting there. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredibly significant.
Yeah.
How many cities do you think this scales out to? Is this something that becomes, in every city, or Uber's aspiration is every city. Is that the aspiration? Do you think you get to 50 cities in a couple of years like they did?
Yes, and I think the question is, what reason is there to consider that it would not work? We looked at this from every angle we can. We tried to, let's say it only works in the top 50 MSAs. Then you still have your 50 cities. Let's just say it only works in 25 cities in the US, and you still have at least 25 cities in Europe and in Asia where it will work, where you have the same demographics, roughly the same income, same infrastructure availability in a city, same limitations when it comes to public transport, same number of restaurants. There is just overwhelming evidence that people love to use the product, and I believe there's overwhelming evidence to believe that they will love to use it in other metropolitan areas. We're in 4 now. You just at some point have to realize how many more do you need to add in order to prove it, and at some point that's irrelevant.
Yeah, I think you're done. In terms of proving it now, I guess, are you capable of scaling to 10 cities a year, 20 cities a year? I know when Travis did that at Uber, that was quite an undertaking for him and the team.
So that's why we're raising money right now to do that in the next year, to go into more cities and to perfect that playbook, right?
What do you think of the AngelList syndicates and stuff like that? Is that something you would consider doing for your startup? How do you look at that?
Yeah, so for a couple of things, because I have to pull a plug here make a plug for Naval. He was the first person to believe in this company. We met him.
Not surprising.
Not surprising. Well,
he's a divergent thinker. He does crazy shit.
At that point, I totally agree. And at that point, he knew me from the previous startup that failed. And I asked him, "Do you have time for a meeting?" He said, "Yes, but I do not invest at this point in time." And we were in that meeting, and 5 minutes in the meeting, he said, "I want to lead that round. It's amazing what you guys are doing." And we were blown away. and he helped us ever since. So he's amazing. I believe that everything that AngelList does is amazing. And if I have the time, I can explain to you in 2 sentences why I believe that is. Everybody comes here for a reason to the Valley, right? I wanted to be here all my life. People come here because they go to Stanford, they go to Berkeley, they go to great schools. They come here to work for a startup. And the moment we're in here, we're becoming part of the system, right? Because things work here following specific rules. And whenever I look at Naval, it reminds me of this famous Steve Jobs quote when Steve Jobs says that everything around you has been built by people that are not much smarter than you are. And what Naval does is he constantly tears those things down and rebuilds the world how he thinks it should look. Right. And that to me is very inspiring, and I think he does that with such style at the same time. It's very admiring.
Yeah, no, he's a very impressive entrepreneur who in previous companies didn't have huge success. And you see that happen a lot of times. The second, third startup is the huge win. And it's pretty clear that AngelList is the last startup he'll ever do. I mean, I think that will keep him busy. So that means you would consider doing the syndicate.
Yeah, totally. I'm not sure how clever that is for a B round, but I think everything that you want to do pre-A is very powerful.
I think it's great for you guys in a B round only because there would be people tripping over themselves who are fans of the product, right? I mean, that's my big belief is that, the people who are fans of products should be allowed to invest in them.
Absolutely.
Even people who are not rich. Like one of your customers, who's not accredited, if they love the product and they use it 40 times a month and they're spending already $500 a month with you, what's the difference between them doing a 13th month a year and investing $500, right? I really think that would be great.
So I on this point, I totally agree. I think the reason that I said...
It's illegal.
No, but I think the
reason...
No,
it's still illegal for non-accredited.
Yes. But on a level, what I meant with the Series B is you obviously want to have a partner.
You need to, absolutely.
That at least takes the lead, and you want that person, and you ask for the selection process, and maybe just one sentence on that one. For Postmates, is the partner first.
Right.
We want somebody who is actually known for either worked in marketplaces, has a deep understanding of how that works, or has the ability to work with the founders in the capacity that we needed.
So you're not picking a firm as much as the partner at the firm.
I think it's all about the partner.
Right. And how do you discern that? You just talk to other entrepreneurs or who had them on their boards?
Yeah, that's the number one thing. I think that's the first filter that you do. And then the second filter is that you try to get an intro to that person and not just to someone at that firm. And that is a lot more difficult than just getting an intro to a firm. But for us, I just hope it works out the way we plan it to be.
Well, listen, the passion people have for the product is otherworldly. The list of investors that you have currently is stunning. I mean, just going down the list here, Thomas Corte, I know, Naval, Russell Simmons. I mean, Scott Bannister's on the board, you told me. Paige Craig, Javid, one of the third co-founder of YouTube, Founders Fund, David Sachs, Dave Moore, and Bill Lee. What an amazing list of investors you have. Continued success. And everybody, if you're in DC especially, or you know somebody in DC, please right now, just take a moment while you're listening and email your friend in DC, because that's their newest city, and just say, hey, try Postmates and let me know how it goes. It's pretty awesome. So that's and you can tweet that as well at Postmates. Is that your Twitter handle?
That's right. No, that's right, at Postmates.
Yeah, and if you want to follow Bastian, he's at, what are you, Basti?
At Basti, yeah.
At Basti. At Basti. BASTI. All right, listen, it's been a great episode. Thanks to my sponsors. Thanks, producer Gina, for getting another great guest. And thank you, Brandis, for making everything flawless. We'll see you all at the launch festival. And please try Postmates. It's awesome. We'll see you next time on This Week in Startups.